I'm a 31-year-old man, and until recently, I thought I was 4 months away from getting married. Now, I'm not even sure there will be a wedding at all. I've been with my fiancée for 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago, and on paper, everything looks solid. I'm a software engineer making around $145,000 a year. I'm not rich, but I'm financially secure. I own my condo outright thanks to some lucky startup stock options in my 20s. I've got about $280,000 in retirement accounts and roughly $90,000 in savings and investments. For my age, I'm doing well, and I've worked hard for it. My fiancée works in marketing. She earns around $65,000 a year and still has about $30,000 in student loan debt. She doesn't own property. She's financially stable, just not in the same position I'm in. Here's where things get complicated. Her family is wealthy. Her father owns a chain of car dealerships across the region. Her mother hasn't worked in decades. They live in a massive house, drive luxury cars, and vacation in Europe every summer. You know the type. Despite all that money, they've never treated me like an equal. Her father has made snide remarks about how I'm just an employee, while he's a business owner. Her mother once asked me, completely straight-faced, if I was sure I could afford the engagement ring. It was an $8,000 ring paid in cash. No financing. Not a dime owed. 2 months ago, during a family dinner, her father asked me to step into his study. He sat behind his desk like we were in a job interview and told me very formally that before the wedding could move forward, I'd need to sign a prenuptial agreement. Honestly, I wasn't against the idea. Prenups make sense. They're supposed to protect both people. I told him I was open to reviewing one. Then I actually read it. The document was 12 pages long, drafted by their family lawyer, and it was aggressively one-sided. Here are just a few highlights. Any assets I brought into the marriage would become marital property. After 5 years, all growth in my retirement accounts would be split 50/50ths in a divorce. I'd be responsible for paying off any remaining student loans she had. I'd owe alimony based on lifestyle maintenance. If she reduced work hours after having kids, her inheritance would stay 100% protected. Any gifts from her family would always remain her separate property. And what protections did I get? None. There was nothing about infidelity. Nothing about misconduct. Nothing protecting my condo, my savings, or my future. When I asked her father why the agreement was so one-sided, he looked at me like I was slow. Because you have more to lose, he said. So what exactly does this protect me from? I asked. He laughed. You're a man. You'll be fine. Men always land on their feet. That was the first real alarm bell. I took the document home and showed it to my fiancée, fully expecting her to be angry on my behalf. Instead, she said, "It seems fair to me. You make more money, and my parents just want to make sure I'm taken care of." That was the first crack in everything. I hired my own lawyer, $400 just for the consultation. He reviewed the prenup and actually laughed. "This wouldn't hold up in court," he said. "It's so one-sided a judge would probably throw it out. But the bigger issue is this. Do you really want to marry into a family that thinks this is acceptable?" Still, I wasn't trying to burn bridges. I asked him to draft a fair counterproposal. It protected both of our premarital assets equally. It outlined reasonable alimony. It covered job loss, disability, and children. And yes, I added one clause, an infidelity clause. If either spouse cheated, they would forfeit 75% of the marital assets they'd otherwise receive and pay the other party $50,000 in damages. It applied equally. If I cheated, I paid. If she cheated, she paid. We scheduled a meeting at their lawyer's office. Her father insisted on being there. Her mother showed up dressed like she was attending a charity luncheon. My fiancée sat beside me, but it already felt like she was on their side of the table. Everything went smoothly until the lawyer read the infidelity clause out loud. Her father's expression changed instantly, smug to confused to outright panicked. That's not standard," he stammered. "Actually, infidelity clauses are increasingly common," my lawyer said calmly. Her mother snapped. "This is outrageous. You're accusing our daughter of being unfaithful. I'm accusing no one, I said. It applies to both of us. My fiancée wouldn't look up from the table. Her father stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. We're not signing this. Then there's no prenup, I replied. And since you made the prenup a condition of the wedding, there's no wedding. Silence. My fiancée finally asked to speak privately. In the hallway, she asked, "Why would you put that clause in?" "Why wouldn't I?" I said. "You want financial protection. I want protection from betrayal. Your father's prenup showed a complete lack of trust in me. Where was your concern about trust then?" She had no answer. Over the next week, things spiraled. Her father went behind my back and called my parents, claiming I was sabotaging the wedding. Then he showed up unannounced at my condo, trying to pressure me into removing the infidelity clause. "That clause is offensive," he said. "Why?" I asked. "Because it implies my daughter would cheat. It implies either of us could." "But you're a man," he snapped. "It's different." That's when it clicked. That night, my fiancée was acting strange. Hiding her phone, constantly texting. I did something I'm not proud of and checked her phone. What I saw changed everything. Messages with her college roommate. That's why my dad is freaking out about the infidelity clause. It was one time, before we were engaged. He can never find out. I didn't confront her. I dug. Her roommate eventually confirmed it. At a work conference last year, my fiancée ran into her ex. They spent the weekend together. She cheated. Her father knew. That's what the prenup was really about. Not protecting her future, protecting her from consequences. At the final meeting, I confronted them calmly. The truth detonated the room. Crying. Denials. Excuses. It didn't mean anything. We weren't engaged yet. I was going to tell you, eventually, after marriage, after contracts, after my protection was gone. I stood up. There is no wedding. There is no prenup. There is no us. Her father threatened me. Her mother guilt-tripped me. My ex blamed me. I walked out anyway. I lost about $3,000 in deposits. Worth every cent. 3 years hurt. But I didn't dodge a bullet. I dodged an entire family willing to lie, manipulate, and legally trap me. The irony? Her father was right about one thing. I did need protection. Just not from divorce, from them. After that meeting, nothing felt normal anymore. My fiancée barely spoke to me on the drive home. No arguments, no explanations. Just silence so heavy it felt intentional. She went straight to bed that night without saying goodnight. The next morning, she left for work early and didn't even look back. Then the messages started. Not from her mother. Long texts accusing me of being controlling, paranoid, and insecure. According to her, I had revealed my true nature by insisting on that infidelity clause. Apparently, wanting equal consequences for betrayal made me dangerous. That alone told me something wasn't right. 2 days later, my fiancée finally sat down with me for what she called a real conversation. For the first time since the prenup meeting, she didn't sound defensive, just tired. She admitted something important. She had never actually read her father's original prenup. She had trusted him when he said it was standard and meant to protect both of us. When I walked her through the clauses, my condo becoming marital property, my retirement being split, her inheritance staying untouched, I watched realization slowly replace denial. "I didn't know it was that bad," she said quietly. That was the first time I felt hope again. She agreed her father's prenup was unfair. She said my counterproposal made sense. She promised she'd talk to her parents and fix this. For about 24 hours, I thought we were back on track. Then her father escalated. Instead of calling me like an adult, he went behind my back and contacted my parents. He painted me as unreasonable, unstable, and unwilling to commit properly. My mom called me confused and worried. I explained everything. She understood immediately. "So he wants you to sign something that protects only her," she said. "And when you ask for fairness, you're the villain?" Exactly. That still wasn't enough for him. 2 nights later, he showed up at my condo unannounced. Just rang the bell like we were friends. We stood in my living room, my home fully paid for, and he tried a new angle. "I think we got off on the wrong foot," he said. "I'm just trying to protect my daughter." I asked him a simple question. "From what exactly?" He didn't have an answer. Instead, he made an offer. He'd soften some clauses if I removed the infidelity provision. That's when I pushed back. "Why does that clause bother you so much?" "It's offensive," he snapped. "It implies my daughter would cheat. It implies either of us could." "That's different," he said. "How?" He had nothing. That was the moment my gut stopped whispering and started screaming. That night, my fiancée was off, restless, guarded. Her phone never left her hand. Every notification made her tilt the screen away from me. In 3 years, she had never done that. I didn't want to become that guy, but something felt wrong enough that I paid attention. Around midnight, she went to shower and left her phone charging in the bedroom. I looked. The messages weren't with some random number. They were with her college roommate, someone I'd met before, someone who knew our relationship well. Most of it was venting, until it wasn't. "Roommate, have you told him about what happened last year?" Her. "No. He can never find out. That's why my dad is freaking out about the infidelity clause." Roommate. "If it doesn't count, why are you scared?" Her. "Because he'd leave me, and my dad would kill me for blowing this." My hands went cold. I put the phone back exactly where it was and went to the couch. I didn't sleep at all. By morning, the puzzle pieces were lining up. The aggressive prenup, the obsession with removing the infidelity clause, her father's panic, her behavior now. This wasn't about hypotheticals. This was about something that had already happened. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed the full truth before I burned everything down. So I started asking quiet questions, casual ones. I asked her about a work conference she attended the previous spring, 4 days out of town, right before my birthday. She tensed instantly. "It was boring," she said. "Nothing happened." I remembered that trip. She'd been distant for weeks afterward. I'd blamed work stress at the time. Now I reached out to the roommate directly under a harmless excuse, planning a surprise birthday event. Her response crushed any remaining doubt. "Oh, after everything that happened at that conference last year, she really deserves something nice." I pressed gently. She spilled everything. Her ex had been staying at the same hotel. They reconnected. They spent the weekend together. Alcohol, regret, secrets. And her father knew. That's when everything became clear. The prenup wasn't to protect her from me. It was to protect her from accountability, from the consequences of betrayal I didn't even know about yet. And suddenly that infidelity clause made perfect sense, not as an insult but as a threat. A threat to the lie they were desperately trying to bury. Once I had the truth, I didn't rush to confront anyone. I sat with it. For 2 full days, I went through the motions like nothing was wrong. I went to work. I came home. I spoke normally. Inside, everything I thought I knew about my future was collapsing. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about a year-long lie, supported by an entire family, and a legal strategy designed to make sure I'd never be able to protect myself if I found out. So I planned. First, I called my lawyer and told him everything, the messages, the conference, the ex, the father's behavior. He wasn't surprised. He told me the prenup was effectively dead already, but that I should document everything in case her family tried to retaliate. Then I scheduled one last meeting at their lawyer's office. I told my fiancée it was to work out a compromise and move forward. She sounded relieved. Too relieved. Her father was practically enthusiastic when he heard. He thought he'd won. The meeting was 3 days later. Same conference room. Same seating. Same power play posture from her father. He started confidently. "I'm glad you came to your senses." Their lawyer presented a revised prenup. Some clauses were softened, but the core remained the same. Still no infidelity clause, still tilted in their favor. I let him read all 12 pages. When he finished, everyone looked at me. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I asked one question. What happened at the conference last March? The room went silent. My fiancée froze. Her mother's smile disappeared. Her father's confidence evaporated instantly. I don't know what you're talking about, my fiancé said quickly. Really? I replied calmly. Because your college roommate described your ex showing up at the same hotel. You spending the weekend in his room. That sound familiar? Her father stood up. This meeting is over. No, I said, still seated. This meeting is finally honest. My fiancée broke down crying. It was one time, she said. We weren't even engaged yet. You were in a committed relationship, I replied. And you hid it for over a year. She tried again. I was going to tell you. When? I asked. She didn't answer. I turned to her father. Now I understand why you were so desperate to remove the infidelity clause. This wasn't about dignity or trust. It was about shielding your daughter from consequences. He tried to deny it. Then I quoted the text. Word for word. They didn't look at me. They looked at each other. That told me everything. Here's the part they didn't expect. I didn't yell. I didn't insult anyone. I didn't argue. I stood up. There is no wedding. There is no prenup. There is no future together. My fiancée grabbed my arm. Please, she said. Couples survive infidelity all the time. Couples survive honesty, I replied. You built a future on deception. Your family helped you do it. Her mother finally spoke. You're throwing away 3 years over one mistake. I looked at her. A mistake is spilling a drink. This was a coordinated lie with legal paperwork. I walked toward the door. Her father tried one last move. If you walk out, you're making an enemy. I know people, business owners, lawyers. I can make things difficult for you. I turned back once. You just threatened me in front of witnesses, I said calmly, after trying to trap me with a predatory prenup. If you think that ends well for you, I encourage you to test it. His face went red. I walked out. That was the end. Or so I thought. The calls started that night. Apologies, anger, blame, begging. You're ruining my life over ancient history. It was before we were engaged. You weren't paying attention to me back then anyway. My dad will make you regret this. Please, I love you.